In this video, I look at how you can force a lane change while using Tesla's Enhanced Autopilot. And while filming, I get my first phantom braking on autopilot and my first Autosteer strikeout. I'm in my 2024 Tesla Model Y here, and this has got Enhanced Autopilot. So I've done various videos on autopilot showing you all the features of those, which I'll link in the video description below. But one of the features is automatic lane changing, and I found it too slow, and consequently I don't really use that feature of Enhanced Autopilot. But I had seen in other videos you could override the automatic lane changing and indicate yourself and it should change lane, but I've never been able to get that to work. However, I have discovered by reading some comments on my other videos is that I wasn't indicating properly. So let's try that out, because that's what I'm going to show you on this video. So I've put autopilot on. Let me go full screen on that, and I'll set my speed to 70. So it's going to try to drive at 70. Obviously the traffic at the moment isn't really going to allow that. But there are two parts to this really. There's the standard autopilot, which this is what it's using at the moment, and it will not do lane changes. But if you've got the enhanced autopilot, it will then do lane changes by itself when you've got it on navigate on autopilot. So that means you've got to have a destination in. But if you're using standard autopilot like I'm doing now, where it's just going to try to drive at the speed you're driving at, you can force a lane change by putting the indicator on, and it will then do it. So the issue I was having is I was only lightly touching the indicator, and just like every car, these have got like a two-stage. A light touch will traditionally just do 3, 5 or 7 flashes. That's not the case on a Tesla. This will flash for whatever it needs to until it's done the lane changes, because it uses the camera and clever software. But anyway, a light touch is that sort of temporary flash, and a full touch on this, i.e. a sort of a click on an older fashioned car, will keep the indicator on. And that's what I needed to do. I needed to do a full touch, which is something that I just don't need to do now in the Tesla, because it's got this auto indicator system, which I'll show you in a minute. So anyway, it's prompting me to touch the steering wheel quite often because I've got my sunglasses on, so it can't see my eyes, so it can't see that I'm paying attention. So consequently I've got to touch the steering wheel every now and then, and that's why you see that message up on the screen and the banner. But anyway, I've got my hands off the steering wheel, and occasionally I'm just going to put some friction on the steering wheel. So another Tesla's coming past, so I'm going to put the full indicator on, and it's not overtaking yet because there's a car there. Come on then, off we go. There it is. Now it's done the lane change by itself. So the indicator is now cancelled, and it should now start speeding up to 70 miles an hour. And at this point I'm just using standard autopilot. So if I want to go back in, I didn't push the indicator hard enough there, so I'll do it again, and it's now done the lane change. So that's what I really wanted to show on this video, and that's what I was getting wrong on the original video, is I wasn't clicking the indicator fully down. So whether you're on standard autopilot or navigate on autopilot, you can force the lane change when you want it to do it, but you've got to do a full indicator push. Oh, the car just tried to go down that slip road there. Look at that. I haven't had that before. So it braked quite hard and it tried to drive down there, but then changed its mind. Even though I grabbed the steering wheel back, I didn't take it off autopilot. So that was interesting. I'm glad I caught that on the video. So I'm going to come off the A34 here on a slip road just coming up, and even though I don't have navigate on autopilot on, let's see whether I can force it to take that lane just by putting the indicator on. Obviously this would only work with enhanced autopilot, but I've got the 3 marker, the 2 marker, the 1 marker. So I'll put my indicator all the way down. It's indicating. No, it wasn't going to do it. Anyway, wasn't meant to, but I thought that might work. So what I'm going to do now is get up on the M4 here and show you the difference between the automatic lane changes when you're using Enhanced Autopilot and doing the, well, asking for a manual lane change but letting the car do that automatic change using the Enhanced Autopilot features. So at the moment I'm just using standard autopilot, where the vehicle's just going to stay in my lane and follow the vehicle in front at the distance that that vehicle is driving at. So at the moment you can see we're up behind these trucks, and it's just going to drive as fast as it can, but it's not going to do any lane changes. So using standard autopilot that every Tesla has, if I want to do a lane change, I've either got to steer into the lane, which will disengage autopilot, do my overtake, go back to the lane, and then I have to put it back on again. Or I turn it off, as I've just done now, do my lane change, and then turn it back on. And then when I want to do my lane change back into the slow lane, I've got to do the same. So it's a lot of on and off, a lot of messing around, and consequently I didn't really use standard autopilot that much. So that's one of the reasons why I bought the Enhanced Autopilot add-on, because I thought the lane changes would make it all work better, feel a bit more like full self-driving, which we don't have in the UK, and I thought it would all sort of integrate better and I would end up using it more. So let's see if I can go back into that lane. So I put the indicator on, it's doing the lane change. I haven't touched the steering wheel apart from the occasional touches, just so it knows I'm still in control. So that is what Enhanced Autopilot has given me, that ability to change the lane just by touching the indicator to say I want to change the lane. And now I've got the indicator working, it's a game changer. So autopilot is so much better when it actually does the lane changes. So let's do that again. So I'm going to put my indicator on. No, a car is, look at that. Right, I'm going to put my indicator on. So that car was coming up, that white Audi there was coming up beside me. It was about to change, but the Audi hadn't changed lane, so autopilot put me back and cancelled it all. Personally, I would have continued because it would have forced the Audi to go into the fast lane, the outer lane. But anyway, it was playing safe and it decided to go back. So let's do it again. I just got to touch the steering wheel. So that is working very well. So that's not using navigate on autopilot. So let's just put that on. Let's navigate somewhere. Right, so this is now navigating on autopilot, and this is where it will now do the lane changes by itself. So let's just put my speed back up to 70 because that's dropped down because I was behind those trucks. So this is where it's going to prompt me to double check for itself that I want to do a lane change. So it's going to decide when to do the lane changing now. So we should need to do one because we're coming up fast behind these trucks. There isn't quite the space here yet to do it, so it's hanging back, as you can see, by 5 miles an hour or so. Now it's saying do it. So I prompt it with the indicator and it does the lane change. So that's the difference. When you're on navigate on autopilot, it will decide when it wants to change lanes. You just have to confirm it by touching the indicator. So it's prompting me to touch the steering wheel quite often because it can't see my eyes. So let's just take my sunglasses off. So the camera up here can now see what I'm looking at, and it shouldn't prompt me quite so much now. So I'm driving hands-free. Lane 1 is now free. So I've just got to touch the steering wheel so it knows I'm in control. It should be putting me into lane 1, because I'm actually going to be pulling off in 1 mile, and it's not. It's going to put me in front of the truck, which isn't ideal, but we're passing the truck at reasonable speed. We've still got 0.8 of a mile, so actually that probably did the right thing there. We got a good enough gap between us and the truck behind. Right, so it's now suggesting we go into lane 1, which it's done, and here's the 300-yard marker for the junction. So yeah, navigate on autopilot and auto lane changing does work pretty well. So it's saying requested lane change to follow the route, and it's now pulled us off the motorway. I haven't done any of that. So it's put us into the left lane, but I actually want to be in the right lane, so I'm going to take over now and drive myself as we go around this roundabout. 93% who watch these videos are not subscribed. Please do, as it's free and it helps the channel grow. If you want to be notified when a new video is uploaded, click the bell button. Also have a look at the existing videos where there's now over 1100 on the channel, and have a look at the playlists. So now I know where I was going wrong, because I wasn't able to force a lane change with the indicator, simply because I wasn't pushing the indicator down hard enough. It's made Enhanced Autopilot work so much better, because I found the standard lane changing was just a little bit slow, and it felt like I was lane hogging too much. But now I can indicate force lane changes without taking it off autopilot. It's just worked really well. I do still feel like driving myself is quicker, and I can make a move on better and a bit more natural as well. But there are times where you want autopilot to do it, like now, where it's busy and the road speed is pretty slow. You can let autopilot do the work, and it is more relaxing, particularly when you're doing a very long distance drive, or for example when you're driving through the night. That's when autopilot really does work well. So there's something on the other side of the road there. What's all that smoke? Is that from cutting crops, or is that smoke? Looks too much to be smoke, but anyway, there's no vehicle there. So here's a little example of navigate on autopilot. We've got our exit coming up at 0.3 of a mile away, so it's not going to do any lane change, but it is going to go onto the slip road. It's now heavily braking. It's asking us to put the indicator on to confirm the lane change, and it's pulled off the motorway by itself. So that is what navigate on autopilot does. So it should now keep us in lane 1, which it is. Look at that. And now navigate on autopilot's ended, and we're now on standard autopilot, but I'm going to steer through it, cancel it, because obviously you wouldn't use autopilot for doing a manoeuvre at a junction and stop like this. So here it's asking me to do a lane change, which I will just touch the indicator, and I need to touch the steering wheel, and it's cancelled, and it's done a braking. Look at it. Wow, I'm glad I caught that on camera. That is the phantom braking, which many people criticise Teslas for, but it has never done that for me. That's the first time I've experienced that. So what that was that parked HGV in the lay-by, and just as we were passing that, it slammed on the brakes. And that's, I think, where you get a shadow on the road, on the tarmac, and it confused it. I've never experienced that in the nearly 2 years or 20,000 miles that this car has now done. I'm glad I caught that on camera. So that's the infamous phantom braking that Autopilot does. And part of the issue is, in the UK, we're running quite old Autopilot software. In America, all these issues are being ironed out. They're using completely different full self-driving software, and you don't get those sort of scenarios. But our laws don't allow this newer software yet in our vehicles, but it is coming. So let's put Autopilot back on. Let's increase my speed to 70. And let's just try that again. Let's change lane. I just need to touch the steering wheel because I got my sunglasses back on. It can't see my eyes. It's done the lane change, and 99% of the time it just works fine. It's just strange there that it didn't do the lane change and it got upset by that parked truck and did the braking all at once there. But it's good I catch that on camera. I'm not just going to show you the best bits, I'll show you the worst bits of the Tesla Autopilot system. I know some people, when they experience that, they turn it off and never use it because they don't trust it. But as I say, in 20,000 miles, that's the first time it's done that. So at the moment, we're only doing 57 miles an hour because that's all that car is doing in front. But now he's pulled in, we should start speeding up. There it is. It's a little bit slow to speed up actually, but anyway, it's now speeding up. No braking as we went past that HGV. Lots of shadows on the road. It's completely happy with those, as it almost always is. I just got to touch the steering wheel. Right, I would like to be pulling into lane 1 there. It hasn't asked me to do it yet, but now it has. So I've just got to touch the steering wheel again, just a brief touch just to show I'm still in control. That car is wanting to pull out. But anyway, I've stayed in lane 1. The traffic's a bit fast really for him to be pulling out there. Got to touch the steering wheel again, so it should now be trying to overtake this truck, but we've got traffic coming up behind us, which we can see there. Some cars and a motorbike. Because obviously the car can see behind probably better than a human can, of course, because it's looking all the time, whereas humans can only look at one thing at once. So it's asking me to change lane, but I haven't confirmed yet because this Audi coming past was going a bit fast. And also here I'm multitasking. I'm trying to think what I've got to say. I'm looking in my mirror to see whether the camera is still pointing in the right direction because it is balancing on a tripod and it's getting shaken around a lot. And I'm watching the traffic, I'm watching what the car's doing. So normally when I'm not filming, this would all be a little bit easier, a little bit smoother and a bit more progressive. Right, so I put the indicator on. Come on then, change lane. It's cancelled, look at that. Lane change cancelled because a car's coming up behind. So that's a good example of what isn't quite so good about the automatic lane changing, because I had the indicator on. That car would have seen I wanted to change lane, so he could have been holding back to allow me to move across. But then the car decided not to do it and cancelled it. So he's then got to accelerate past again. So it just made me look a bad driver. If I was driving myself, I would have accelerated and got out way before him, completely safe, and made that maneuver so much better. But anyway, that's the technology for you. So I'm about to pull off the A34 here, so I'll wrap this video up. So that's how you force a lane change if you've got enhanced autopilot, is to click the indicator all the way and not just do a soft touch. So if you found this video useful, please do click the thumbs up as always. And if you want to see those other videos about the features on enhanced autopilot, then what is it doing? It's I haven't seen that before. It's not allowing me to use Autosteer, and it obviously, I was ignoring the messages to touch the steering wheel because I was talking to camber. So what it did then was put the hazards on, and it would have stopped the car because it thought I was incapacitated because I wasn't controlling the car. However, it did that very quick. That was only a matter of 5 seconds or so. But anyway, there's the multitasking, talking to camera, trying to drive. I was letting autopilot do it all, and I was going to let it navigate off the dual carriageway there, but because I hadn't touched the steering wheel and I'd ignored the message, it then disabled it all, and that's why I quickly whipped my glasses off so it could see my eyes. But anyway, it put the hazards on. I'd never seen that before. Okay, well, that will do for this video. I've left a few of the mistakes in and the things that autopilot doesn't do so well. So I hope you found that interesting. Okie doke, I'll see you on the next one. So when I got back and stopped the car, I had an Autosteer strikeout message up on the screen. That has now gone, but it's also saved here under your autopilot settings. And as you can see, it's saying I've had 1 strikeout due to improper use, and Autosteer Beta will no longer operate after 5 autopilot strikeouts. So it's telling me, because I've been a naughty boy and I wasn't paying attention and it had to disable the system, then I've only got 4 other times that it will allow that to happen before it disables the system. Anyway, it's first time I've had that happen and first time I've seen that message.